Hello and welcome to Series 1, Episode number 2 of Uprise Talks. I'm your host, Katie Booth, and I'm very excited to bring you our second brilliant conversation with another changemaker and rule breaker who's rejected the status quo of a corporate 9-to-5 and is instead making his own path in life. We live in an era where more and more of us are realising there's got to be more to life than the traditional career, slowly working ourselves up the ladder until we can finally escape age 65. We at Uprise Academy are building a community of people who are instead choosing to head out on our own, taking the hero's journey in search of a more meaningful life. We're talking about the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between when it comes to the search for an entrepreneurial career that makes you feel truly alive. So let's get this show on the road. Okay, we're recording. Perfect. So today I'm very excited to introduce you to the brilliant Toni Gimeno. Toni is on a mission to see a world where people feel fulfilled with their jobs and helps companies achieve a shared and positive purpose for society. He's worked with some absolutely iconic companies like Amazon and Primark to attract employees who are aligned with their values. He's spoken at over 100 international conferences and events on employer branding, and also uses his expertise to help individuals define their own personal brands. We are incredibly lucky to have Toni here today to share his personal branding wisdom with us, as well as talk about his journey and entrepreneurial career. However, before we get into that, I just want to start by telling a quick story. So I was first introduced to Toni by our mutual friend and colleague, Stephen, who messaged me the other day asking, just saying, hey Katie, I've got an awesome guest for your podcast. And I was like, okay, cool, who is it? And Steve was like, well, he looks like the Spanish version of Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. And he's quite good at personal branding as well. And yes, I can confirm that there is a definite likeness there. Have you considered a kind of look-alike kind of career, Toni?
No, I never. It's the first time I hear that. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing in London. I don't know.
I was like, okay, cool. What, like, anything else to go on, or?
Yeah, like, well, I've been heard like a lot about Ricky Martin, but Jon Snow I never heard.
Oh, okay,
so it's good.
interesting.
I'll ask my friends if they think so as well.
Maybe we'll have to get some video clips up so people can decide.
Well, whatever.
So anyway, that's we're not here to talk about your potential career as a Jon Snow lookalike. So personal branding. So I want to kind of maybe start by digging in a little bit into kind of what that actually means, because I feel like it's a phrase that kind of gets bandied around quite a lot. At the moment, it's kind of become a bit of a thing in the world at the moment. And yeah, so I kind of just want to start by asking you kind of what you would define as, you know, what is personal branding to you?
So at the end, it's like a brand is a perception we get from a company or from a person. So everybody now that since social media, and I think now it's everyone is building their own brand for their own goals. Like imagine like if you have an Instagram for what, like to show your brand as a person, to be cool, to be whatever, with your goals that can be like to look super friendly or to look super attractive in order to attract potential girlfriend boyfriends, or in the professional world it will be the same. It's like you also have a brand, either you work on it or you are building it or not, because if I go and I search for you, whatever I'm gonna find in Google or I'm gonna find in different social networks is the picture of or the image that I'm gonna create about you as a professional. If I'm looking to you like to get to know you a little bit as a professional, or in the personal way, if I'm getting to know you, because whenever we met someone, what we do, we go to Instagram, or before was Facebook, and we look for them and we try to create a picture of them based on what we see there. And so personal brand will be like whatever you are building. Obviously, you can build it in the offline world, but in the online world is whatever you're building in order to people have the right perception of the perception you want about yourself. That will be the personal brand.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. And I think so. Do you think that because we're now living in a very kind of digital age, that's kind of helped this kind of rise of personal branding?
Yeah, I think right now people wasn't putting so much attention because probably I'll say like younger generations are more aware of that, but older generations they were already professional, they were already working, and the social networks arrive or the social media arrive, and they kind of start trying it, but without realizing either the potential, but also like what the responsibility it carried with it. So, for instance, in the professional world, like with LinkedIn, a lot of people LinkedIn profile, but they like the young, like the students or the young people, don't realize the potential that or the visibility that they have on LinkedIn, and they build it, and they don't work on it, or they don't build it on purpose and just leave it there. But that has an impact for their professional life, because the first social network that people is going to look for them whenever they apply for a job or whatever is going to be LinkedIn. It's like, okay, I want to know more. For like the same, like when you were wanting to know more about me, probably you went and you put my name on Google, or you directly went to LinkedIn and put my name on LinkedIn. You didn't even Google me. So that will be the same. It will be the same. And now that more than ever, people is using these kind of tools, like for the same, like whenever I don't have Instagram, I delete my account like 3 years ago. And when people say I don't have Instagram, the people's like, what are you trying to hide? You know, like why you don't have Instagram, because it's so mainstream. So the same will happen like in the professional way with LinkedIn. If you don't have LinkedIn, it will be like, why you don't have LinkedIn, or why you are not there. Or if you have like an empty profile, it will be like, that is telling me a lot about you, or people at least like have this perception. So now everybody's like, hey, you need to start working on it, because if not, people is like the way they network, the way they start meeting professionals is online. And if you're not building this, the CV is not a CV anymore. Everyone has its own website. That is, for me, is LinkedIn or Instagram, and it's our own website. And we realize or not, is our own website. So we need to work on our website, because that's what people is getting, or people is seeing about ourselves. And that's why I think like now more and more people is talking about this. But then you have to be a marketer in order to know how to work well your website, because some people have like, okay, I'm gonna put this, but it's not telling me anything. So that's when we start like, how do you create a good personal brand? I think like it has to be like a storytelling, or a story, like explaining while you explaining who you are. But the same way that you explain in person, I have to see it in online, no? Like to get to know you online in a way that I understand everything you have done and why you've been doing this, and also like hearing your voice. Like you have to have your own voice, and not like putting, oh, I'm a graduate with 10 years of experience in this field. Like everybody's using the same buzzwords that when we see it in job offer, we say like, whatever. But then when we create our LinkedIn profile, I'm talking about LinkedIn here, we use the same buzzwords that mean nothing and they are empty. So I think we have to change the paradigm. It's like, hey, just show yourself the way you are, the way you speak, and explain to the world who are you as a professional, or who you want to be as a professional. But sometimes for younger people, it's like not who you are. It's not what you want to be. What are your aspirations? And just write it there.
Yeah, and so I want to get into that in terms of like, how can people start kind of defining what their story is and what their kind of, you know, personal brand voice is, and all that kind of stuff. Before we do that, I suppose like something that I was kind of thinking about when, you know, we're talking about kind of doing this podcast was, for me, I think especially when I first kind of heard the term personal branding kind of going around, my mind initially went to kind of, you know, LinkedIn or Instagram kind of influencers, and like, oh, am I going to have to kind of turn into this influencery kind of person, and I don't really want to do that. That's not really me. It kind of makes me cringe a little bit. But obviously that's not really the case. So why do you think kind of personal branding is kind of for everyone rather than just for, you know, people who want to be an Instagram influencer or something like that?
Like you have to adapt. Like it's like, imagine like I don't know, 10 years ago that you want to get a job and you don't want to create your own CV. It's like, no, CVs, you know, they're not for me. It's like, well, but that's how the way it works. You know, like that people want CVs in order to see information. Yeah, but I don't feel well. But that's how that like a little bit. That's how it works. Then you can decide, like for instance, in the personal way. For me, I decided to not have Instagram. That can have an impact with my friendship, or I'm not on the top of mind of my friends because they don't see me as often there. And then, like, obviously, I lose touch with a lot of people that I've been like friends for a long time. But that's something I'm willing to do. And the same with the professionals. Like, okay, you can decide to not be on LinkedIn because you have your own. Like, my mother is not on LinkedIn because he has no business to do anything with LinkedIn, and he's not ever like want to do anything with LinkedIn. Okay, fantastic. But if you are, at least you have to be like presentable. You know what I mean? It's like at least you have to put yourself pretty there, or at least like look professional, not just have half a thing. Because either you have half a thing, it's public anyway. So the thing is like if you're gonna have it and work on it in the way that looks professional. And if someone comes search, well, because people will find you by searching you. If someone finds you because they search about your name, at least they find something that doesn't damage your professional image. I would say that. The same will happen like with Instagram or Facebook. They will say like, okay, if you are posting stuff that you don't want everyone to see, put your account in private, because then everybody can see that, and everybody means everybody. I can right now, like you can go and I meet you and I can start looking for pictures of yourself or to find information. And if you don't take care of that, I can find whatever. And then from all of that, I can create the image that I want. So you have to make sure that with the information you provide, I can create the image that you want me to have about you. That because it's the real you. And the thing is like, you have to be genuine and honest about, because a lot of influencers you see like they are posting a lot of stuff, but then when you see them in real life, it's all like kind of empty, kind of fake. So I'm more about like, hey, show yourself as you are. You don't have to be pretend or to start thinking, okay, what people will like. No, like just explain your history, and then we can talk about more how to do it. But just explain who you are, look professional, have like the minimum, and then from then you can go. But at least set this up and in a way that, let's say, like that doesn't damage you and helps you to get whatever your goal is.
So it's not necessarily about creating some kind of, you know, super extravagant, crazy persona, and then you turn up on day one of your new job and you're like, oh, I'm actually nothing like that. It's more about just, you know, explaining who you are in a kind of authentic way.
Exactly. For me, like the authenticity is the key, because the worst that can happen is that but it's the same everywhere. Like the same is in Tinder. You can put in Tinder super hot photos of yourself, like with the best angle, whatever. But then, like, someday you're gonna go on a date, and so you like, obviously you're not gonna put like the worst picture of yourself. The same way you are not gonna put like a super bad profile on LinkedIn, but it has to be authentic, because at some point you will have to talk to people, or you have to see people, depending on the social network you are, and they have to have it needs to have a consistency. If you pretend to be someone, but then when I talk to you, you are nothing at all, like then it's like, well, why are for me, it's like I talk when I do conferences, I talk the same way I'm talking to you, or I talk to my friends, or I talk to my family. And when you go to my profiles or to my content or my videos, you'll have always, I speak always the same, because for me, it would be pretending, but then pretending is, it's like kind of being an actor. So for me, authenticity is the key. That is like how you manage or how you filter your authenticity. If you are, because you have to choose like your scenarios to show your authenticity or less. But for me, it's like don't try to think about what you should put in order to like others. It's not like what you want to explain, and obviously know the rules of the places. LinkedIn has its own rules that are rather different than Instagram, but still, like from there you can go whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that putting across a kind of authentic persona on LinkedIn in a way is kind of thinking about it now, in the work you do in terms of helping companies attract employees who align with their values, and also helping employees and people find companies and roles that align with their values. If you've got that kind of authentic persona on LinkedIn, I guess actually rather than it kind of being a place where you're saying, oh, look how amazing I am and I can do this and this and this and this, and it's got you're trying to sell yourself, but if you do that in an authentic way, that's then going to help you to
attract or like better opportunities. And this, since you mentioned that, because I tell the same to companies. To companies like, hey, you don't have to pretend to be Google. You don't have to pretend to be like the super cool startup if you are not. Because if you are not, you are not. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to be, or all the companies have to be that. You have to show who you are, what's your personality, what are your values, how is it working there, what's the day-to-day, who is the people that is working right now there, and why they work there, and why they are happy. And show that reasons. Don't show the reasons that you think will look cool, because at the end you are getting the wrong. If you say like, no, come here because we're super cool, blah blah blah, and it's not true, or are not the main important areas. When I go to an interview or when I start working there, it's like, what you told me or what I was seeing is not the reality. And then it's like when we start this, like, okay, fuck, I don't like my job. I hate Mondays. I don't believe in what I do, because there's an inconsistency, and you feel like the company has lied to you. So what I tell to companies, the same way I tell to people, is like, hey, you have to be super transparent. You have to be super honest. You don't have to tell like what you think that will look cool. Tell who you are, the way you are, because you will have to attract the people who believe in that, or people who likes that. And also the same with companies that want this kind of people or want this kind of person, because you never know. So better like if you show who you are and see what happens. The same, like I always do the analogy with boyfriend and girlfriend kind of stuff. Like it's the same. Like if you put yourself like super pretty and you pretend to be super funny, but you are not, and you don't have this personality, for one night stand or for like a short relationship can work. But if you want a long-term relationship, that is what you want for a job, it doesn't gonna work. And the same with that. So it's better like you want to be liked for who you are, and companies the same. They want to be liked for who they are, because at the end it's like we're gonna find out. So for me, authenticity and honesty they are like the two most important things whenever we build a personal brand.
Yeah. You don't want to be catfished by an employer and then turn up on your first day and then find out that it's not.
Yeah, but that's happening. That's happening because always you want to show like how cool you are, and you have like these influencers that can be influencers in the company way, that and people and companies feel like they need to be like that, and they need to have a ping pong table at the office, or they need to have like, and then it's like, yeah, but probably your people doesn't value that. They value more have flexibility, or they value more like you treat them well, or whatever, So ask them and explain to the world who you are, and show yourself. And that's, for me, it's like that's the key.
So how do you find that on a kind of personal branding level? How do you find that balance between being really authentic and showing who you are and what you value, but also, let's face it, we're all trying to sell ourselves on Instagram and sell our skills. So how do you find that kind of balance?
So the main thing will be, okay, first you have to know yourself, okay? Because now we'll talk personal on the professional way if you want, and then we can go to the personal. In the professional way, you have to know, okay, who you are as a professional, in which things you add value, which things you are really good, where you want to go, and what is your goal. You have a goal. Like my goal is to establish a brand and to have like in this field, like imagine like designing of video games. I want to be like a brand, or I want to be like a voice with authority, or I want to get a new job, or I want to find a job because I'm employed. So I have to build my profile in order to explain who am I, but with that goal in mind. So there will be like replicate a conversation. If I was talking to someone in a conference, or I have like 1 minute to introduce myself in a place that they are possible employers for me, what will I say? How I will introduce myself? I will introduce like, hey, I'm good doing this. I've been doing this in the past, so now I'm really looking forward to do this kind of stuff. I'm super keen to learn, blah blah blah. So whatever you will explain it in your profile, in your about me first section. It's your kind of elevator pitch or presentation pitch that you will tell when you introduce yourself to someone that is your person that you want to achieve your goal, like your possible employer or people who will follow you or blah blah blah. So whatever you will explain in person, explain it there. And then when you explain your experience, you have, it's like, do I explain all my experience in all what I've done? It's like, no, you have to play it strategically. It's like the same way when you explain a trip to your parents or to your friends, you change information and it's been the same trip, but you explain to your parents certain stuff and to your friends certain stuff. You are adapting the message. You are not explaining everything to everyone. So the same will be like with your own experience. It will be like, okay, if I want to get a job in marketing, I would explain how all my experience is helping me towards getting the job in marketing and how I've been like learning stuff to get that job in marketing. If I don't like other stuff and it has nothing related to marketing, I don't think that's gonna help me to land a job in marketing. It's like you can not hiding it, but like avoid putting it because you want to focus on the main information.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes like we want to feel more just to have more. Like no, like focus on the most important information. Explain about your experience, the most important stuff that you want people to know to get to your goal. So that will be like the strategy. Like always read your profile in a way that okay, I have this goal in mind. And in the personal could be the same. Like I think in personal, right now people is more natural to do it. Like we feel like, and like the way they create content, the way they start posting other kind of pictures, whenever someone has a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whenever someone's single, like you start seeing like a change on the pattern they post, they post pictures because they have a strategy in mind. They have like a goal in mind. So they start doing, so it's the same, but doing it in a professional way. And so say, okay, which content will help me to get what I want? No, and when you have to start posting content, like, okay, what content? Because you post like certain pictures because how people will engage with that, how people will respond to that, how people like will write to you, and then it's possible. So the same with in the professional way. It's the same strategy, and I think like the good thing about I say young people, I mean like millennial, Gen Z, is you are super used to have your own strategies in social media, and you have it inside without knowing. So apply, like do this parallelism all the time, and it's like whatever I do in the personal brand, I can do it in the professional brand because it's the same. There are persons in front of us. So like there's the companies are not this entity that thinks different. Like there are persons. Recruiters are people that can be like us, and they have like the same age as us. So like sometimes we picture like companies that they are something super different and they are not. So we can engage with them the same way.
Yeah, that's good to remember. Companies and recruiters are human as well.
Yeah, exactly. But like, and they like, and recruiters also don't forget that they're talking to people. They see candidate CVs and they think like they are specimens. Like, no, there's people with feelings and people like with their goals and with their aspirations. So also like that will be another conversation. It's like treat them well and give them a good experience, or like put like some effort into answering them, because there's people with feelings, and if you help them like just by providing like 2-minute tips about how to improve something, that they will be grateful and you will have like an impact. But sometimes we forget about this, like in both sides. So that's why I'm to help.
Yeah, and again, like the authenticity thing, if you're coming across as an authentic real person on LinkedIn, you'll almost stand out in a way. It's like you're not another kind of just run of the mill, oh, I graduated with expertise in X and then I've done Y, and like don't
Exactly.
be boring.
And people wants to interact and wants to engage with people who's authentic. People don't want to like when you see like people just like promoting themselves too much, talking about their own bullshit. It's like whatever, like. And sometimes the Instagram, they're friends of yours, but you will like mute them because like I'm tired of seeing your histories because you are not just pretending or just like, but
Yeah.
it's the same. We do this kind of stuff, so it's the same. So we have like to get to know like, okay, who we are, how we like to interact, and then it's like we can translate what we do in personal to professional, and because it's natural, it's just like changing the conversation between your friends to your parents or to a professional, like. It changed like the people you are talking to, but you are the same. So yes, you have to just change a little bit what information you are providing.
Yeah, so you're kind of still operating within that, in that kind of, I guess, spectrum of yourself, and just kind of dialing certain things up and down depending on
Well,
who you're talking to.
it's the context. Like LinkedIn is for one thing, Instagram is for another thing, Facebook, I will say like it's a mix. But you have to know like, and if you have to like more niche social media, like they're even more niche, like to talk about stuff like people don't care about the rest. So it's more like to know your audience and how you explain yourself depending on the audience, and that's the key. And you have a goal. Okay, you're on LinkedIn because I want to get or I want to. So that's the goal, and you don't have to forget that. So whatever you do there is to reach that goal. In Instagram, what goal do I have? And you have a goal, because if not, you wouldn't spend so much time there. And you have to know it. And if you have zero goals there, then you can delete it, because then you lose a lot of time. and it's just entertainment. But if you go there just for entertain yourself, that's a goal, and it's fine. But at least you have to know in order to use social media on purpose, because if not,
Yeah.
you're just there and you spend a lot of time, and after 2 hours you like, hey, I'm losing my life through the phone,
Yeah.
and so that's the key things that have like a purpose with whatever social media you use.
Yeah. And so I think for a lot of people, they, in thinking about goals for, using LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, is going to be, oh, I want to get loads of followers. Because I think a lot of people will think, whether say, let's take LinkedIn, for example. So say I want to get a job in X field or in X company, or I'm an entrepreneur and I'm building a business and I want to build an audience for myself because that's going to help my business. You've managed to get like a pretty decent following on LinkedIn. Like, how do people go about doing that? What are the secrets?
So for me, like the secret is, if you are generating content, provide value. Like whatever you're gonna post, like which value these have for the people. And then it's like, I wouldn't follow or focus on how many followers do I have, because at the end, followers mean nothing. Like you want like the quality, not quantity, because you can have like a lot of people following you, but then whenever you post something, you get zero engagement, you get zero business, you get like zero visibility, because you just get a bunch of people, but nobody's interested in what you do. So it's better to have like 100 people that is super engaging and super interested in what you do, and they are super niche to what you do, than having 1,000 people and from all industries that nobody cares about what you do, because then it's like just followers sometimes are like a vanity metric. And it's funny because like that we see it in Instagram that I don't know, it was like it was a big news, not big news, but like 2 years ago, there was like an influencer had like 2 million followers, and she launched her own t-shirt brand, whatever, and she just sold like over 2 million followers. She just sold like 40 t-shirts. Oof. And it was like, what? But that's like, okay, like the followers didn't really care about you, and probably you get one post that was super hot, people start following you, and then you get like really lucky in a viral post. But then like, no, I think for me it's like, don't focus on the followers you have or you want to get. Focus on providing value, whatever. And it can be your own opinion. Sometimes like, oh, we want to be super insightful. Like, no, whenever you're creating content, you can, okay, comment on a new and explain your own point of view, or things that you see that people see different. You can comment on it and help people, or you can say, hey, people is doing this in the wrong way. I believe that it should be done this way. That's your opinion, but at least you provide value. You are not just a hater saying like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, but tell me how to improve it, and
Mm.
or providing things that you're struggling. It's like, hey, lately I've been struggling on finding blah blah blah, or tools or things at work, or I've been working in this and it's been, but finally I get this and I've been doing it this way. Super helpful. So start sharing stuff like this, that people that can relate to you and people that have the same problem, that probably is the people you want to have as followers, will engage with you, will thank you, will start interacting with you. So for me, I never focus on my LinkedIn. I never focus on having much or a lot of followers, or if not, I was focusing on, okay, I have to provide value. And whenever I'm not getting engaged, obviously there's like little tricks that you can get to have better engagement. It's like, okay, the classic, what time do you post? Don't put in LinkedIn, for instance, put native content, don't put links outside because LinkedIn doesn't like. So there's like this technical stuff that you can Google and YouTube, okay, how to get better engagement. But at the end, the, the, the most important thing is like, okay, you make sure that you provide value. Don't try to be selling stuff. Don't try. You want to follow people who adds you value. And that's whenever you read stuff or whenever you follow people on Twitter. So I'll say like, whoever has Twitter, use or treat LinkedIn the same way you treat Twitter. Like, follow people who is interesting to you and give content in the same way you give in Twitter, like providing value. And you will see that it's gonna work, because right now I think like LinkedIn is a gold mine, because nobody's using it really well and everybody's there. And now more and more like everybody's there, but still like people is super lost. They don't know how to do like they share stuff with the other people, share links, but not a lot of people have its own voice there. Not a lot of people explains their own ideas in videos or in text, or in, like, you can have like blog posts as well there. So I think that's an opportunity for whoever likes to do videos, audios, or writing, that like to find your own niche, because the visibility you will have on LinkedIn, you post a video on LinkedIn and easily you get like 500, 1,000, 2,000 views depending on the interaction. And on YouTube, you post a video like this and you get like 40 views. So I think that's the thing you want to understand, that right now LinkedIn is gold mine, but you have to provide value. And if you provide value, it's like the same with YouTubers. Like why YouTubers have so many followers? Because they focus on what they like and focusing on providing value to its viewers, and not like, oh, I need to get followers because it was such an organic thing. And then they get a lot of subscribers, but because they have their own thing, their own people that follows them. And now I'm super amazed how like gamers can have like, I don't know, 1,000, 100,000 people just seeing how they play online. And it's like,
yeah, that is fascinating.
That's their own niche. That's their own niche. And they are not trying to be salesy. Like, they are just like doing what they like to do and providing value, explaining how they play. And so it will be the same. Like for me, like the number one rule is provide value.
Yeah, stop trying to sell and just
be useful. Stop like selling doesn't work. People want engaged with stuff that just you want to sell. Like, provide value. Selling is a result of that.
Yeah.
People will say, hey, if I ever want to build my personal brand or build the employer brand of my company, oh, there's Toni that always is giving tips. Always, I have my credibility, but I have my credibility by providing value. By a lot of people will never hire me and will say like, hi Toni, I'm always listening to your videos or to your post, and it's helping me a lot to build my employer brand, or it's helping me a lot with my strategy, it's helping me a lot with the personal brand. Super happy. Like, not everybody can be my customer, but not for that. I'm just gonna hide my information. It's like, no, I'm gonna share it because then people do it for free, and then because if they want to hire you, they will hire you anyway because they will want you to work with them. But if not, provide value. And yeah, I'm super helpful. I'm super grateful when I see that I've been helpful and people write me, hey, I love your conference. Sometimes like people get surprised about this, not because of me, just because of the concept of providing value. Because when you go to webinars right now, you see that they, with 3 slides, they provide value, but then just sales. It's like,
yeah.
And you are making make people lose time, and people don't want to lose time. So But instead, if you focus on providing value, I think that's like the game changer.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like playing the long game rather than just, always trying to get that
Exactly.
quick sale. Yeah.
Infinite game.
Yeah.
Like not short term, long term, and social media is long term. Social media is long term, but you can see results short term. But focus on the long term, not on the short term.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, I'm quite interested to kind of dig into kind of your entrepreneurial career a little bit, because as well as being an expert in employer branding, personal branding, you started your own company, and now you're kind of doing your own sort of solo-preneur thing as well. So I'm quite interested to know what made you decide to start your own company. Was it a TalentClue? TalentClue.
Yes.
What made you decide to start your own company?
So the thing, like, in order to provide value, will be like, how was like my decision making in every step. So the thing is, like, when I finished my degree, it was business administration. Everybody was going to consulting, and everybody was going to audit or the Big Four, because that's what we're supposed to do. But I didn't know much what I wanted to do, but I did know what I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to do any of this. I didn't want to work from 9 to 9 or anything like this. So I was like, okay, that's no. And that also like helps whenever you feel lost, at least to know what you don't want, because then you will know you don't go there. So I had like in my mind, digital marketing could be interesting. And then I went to like a talent headhunter for IT profiles, a lot involved with social media at that point already. It was 2012, and they were like already using LinkedIn to hire people, and it was super new. And there I started like to get to know inbound marketing, and it was like a methodology was really hot in US, but in Europe nobody was doing it. And I was starting the blogging world. I was like reading a lot of blogs about a lot of inbound marketing, and finally convinced the CEO of that company to implement HubSpot, that was the software, and also like start doing inbound marketing. But the company at some point, like kind of, well, it was a startup, like we were trying a lot of stuff with social media and stuff, and it didn't work. So the one of the founders or one of the investors say, hey, we see this opportunity in HR of creating like a software. You're been using like the inbound marketing, HubSpot and inbound marketing and stuff. We would like to create a company. You will be like doing the marketing and the design of the product, and then like we have like we gather a team of 8 people. And at that point, it was like, okay, because it was like, at that point, it wasn't that fancy, like to be an entrepreneur or have your own startup. It was like not fancy part. Like all my friends were having like big salaries. And I was like, wow, now they are offering me to join a startup, but without salary. They say like, okay, it was like a conversation in April. And they say like, okay, you won't have any salary until January. So that means like 8 months without having any salary. And then if the company works and it's successful, then we'll pay you. If not, like we'll go on with our lives.
Yeah.
But at some point, it was like super in love with inbound marketing. I was like, yeah, but I want to try this. I started looking for agencies in Barcelona at that point, and I didn't find any agency or anyone that was doing this. So I was like, okay, let's go for it, and let's create this company. And then like it was even more difficult. You were like working like crazy because okay, skinning the game on fire. So we decided to create the company, but like I like to this like put like not super fancy. It was like I didn't know what I was doing. I was struggling a lot because not having a salary for 8 months is a bit of a struggle, and your friends having like good salaries because. But I think right now, like seeing it backwards, that now you can look back and reflect on it. It was super hard. Obviously, like it had like a huge impact about the way I was spending stuff, and but it was like focusing on what you wanted to do and risking at one point that you're super young to start risking stuff. When you are 24, 25, it's like doesn't go well, like whatever, like I'm gonna go somewhere or I'm gonna go somewhere. So I think it's the time to risk a little bit because when you are older and you have a family, then it's like, okay, risking. And also I've seen like some people who are entrepreneurs with families, then it's like a huge trade-off, like you have to, because it's a lot of effort, like to create something, and you want it to work, and you have to put a lot of hours. But
Yeah.
so it was, well, luckily we started the company. It went well. So we went from 8 employees to 60 employees. And so, and we had like more than 400 customers. We were the #1 software recruitment in Spain. So we were like, it was super cool, like the journey. I also like had the opportunity to work with a lot of my friends who we hired. We had like a really cool culture and stuff. But at some point, like the company, we had different visions with the other two founders. And I had this vision of, okay, we want to change the way people do recruitment. We developed with our marketing team, this methodology that's called inbound recruiting, which is applying digital marketing to recruiting. And the vision of the company was more like to sell the company rather to achieve this vision or go for this vision or this purpose. So at some point, the company like, okay, we reached the goal that was like to make this grow and to be successful. So in the eyes of rate or metrics, we're successful. We're #1 software, blah blah blah. But we have no purpose or we have no vision rather than selling the company. So at some point, I just like realized, I did an exercise that it's called the Wheel of Life. And that's when I decided to quit Instagram and to quit my job. And it's like, hey, I just kind of reorder all my priorities and what made me happy and what not, or in what I was spending a lot of time, and what I wanted to change. So it was like a tool like to be honest with myself. So I said like, hey, Tony, okay, yeah, it's your baby, it's your company, your friends work there, but you believe in that. And I was 28 by that time. And I said, same, if you are now not risking and you're not going to it, like, when are you going to do it? And I'm not saying everybody should risk everything, but I think like if you have passion for something, and that will be like the classic, oh, passion, whatever. But it's true, like if you have passion for something, and because you're lucky enough to find something that you're passionate about. I wasn't passionate about HR before, or personal brand or anything like this. It's something you develop.
Yeah,
but
I'd say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have so many questions. Sorry. So on that note of finding something that you're passionate about, and it, like, from what you just said, it really kind of sounds like you found your purpose in a way. Like it's you kind of said like, oh yeah, well, I just decided to kind of help start this company, and I went without a salary for 8 months, and it was really hard. But kind of that's kind of incredible, because there's so many people in the world who would be like, are you out of your mind? Like, are you kidding me? I'm never going to do that. Like, that's no way.
Well, my parents were the first ones.
Yeah.
It was like super hard for my parents, because they say like, oh, we pay you for an education. Well, not like in a bad way, but they were like, Tony, like, if you want to do a master, like we pay for you. Or he like was like, no, like, seriously, because they didn't understand how I was putting myself in after like 4 or 5 years studying, blah blah, then 2 years experience, and then like creating a company. But obviously they were saying like it wasn't a company of mine, because I didn't have like a lot of stock or whatever, because I didn't put the money, just put like my effort and little experience. And so for my parents and for a lot of my friends, since I was saying it wasn't that fancy back then to be an entrepreneur and to have a startup, it was really hard, because like, why you are doing this? It's like you have no salary and you're gonna be working 8 months for free, and it sounds super fancy, but it was hard, because you sometimes like 3 months of not earning anything. You wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, today I have to go to work, and no salary, and more no salary, and I don't have any reward rather than my learning. And at that point, wasn't the purpose of the company, it was more my own purpose. That's what I think. I wanted to learn about inbound marketing, and I really think that was the future. And my passion wasn't HR or the software. It was more like my passion was learning inbound marketing, and I had like the perfect tool to do it. That was like creating this company, and that's why I do it, and I risk it. But because I believe in that, I was like, okay, I really believe in this, and and the purpose, about the purpose thing or the passion thing, I think it's something you find on the way. It's not something that you someday you sit down and you decide, okay, my purpose is, or my passion is going to be like this one. It's like, I always put the same analogy. Nobody has passion for surfing or for skiing before they try it, because you cannot have you can have the passion of watching it, but until you don't try, you don't know. So it's the same. Like for people who doesn't know what they want to do with their lives or professional lives, like first, you don't have to be a slave of the decision you made when you were 18 or 17 about what to study, because sometimes like we study something, then we find a job that is related to what to study because it's the current thing to do. But at some point we find ourselves like, okay, but now like I'm not that person anymore. When I was 17, I didn't have like this experience. So it's like, okay, now try stuff that you might think that you like, even though you don't know, but at least go there and you will see it. Or either you will develop passion, or if you're stressed, that means it's not your passion. Because for me was the thing. Like I never was stressed. I was working a lot, but I never felt stressed because I like what I was doing. So and at some other companies that I work, I felt stress, and that was for me a sign. I was like, you shouldn't be working here, because if you feel stressed, you're stressed. It means that you're not passionate about what you do, and that means like you are in the wrong place. So that can help people like to do this. It's passion or is stress. Obviously, stress doesn't mean like a positive stress. Like, okay, I'm on fire, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But if you're stressed, like, fuck my life, tomorrow is Monday, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, that thing, it means like you are in the wrong place or doing the wrong thing. So the better you change, the sooner you change is like whenever you realize you shouldn't be with someone. So don't wait, like just break up, and because but it's the same. It's the same. You lie to yourself. You try to negotiate with yourself. At some point, you just know, and when you just know it, it's like better, like to start living your next chapter as fast as you can.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's interesting, like explaining your purpose and your passions as a kind of evolving thing, and it's almost about just not waking up suddenly one day and deciding that my passion in life is to save the planet. Like it's okay that you just kind of have to be kind of curious about things and try things out and see where they go, and that eventually kind of evolves into
and you
something
will
that you're passionate
start
about.
building it. And now, like I have the feeling that I kind of found it, but it's still like I'm questioning myself all the time. But now it's like, okay, I want to help people to be happier at their jobs, and I can do it in different ways. And now I'm doing it, helping companies or helping people develop their own personal brand. But maybe in 10 years, I'm gonna do something different. But probably the purpose will be related to happiness to people, because that's who am I. And then, like looking back, I was like, okay, I always have been like kind of a psychologist to my friends whenever they have problems or whatever. So I always I've been liking that, and now I linked it with digital marketing, which I love. But digital marketing, when I was 22, I had no idea about what was digital marketing, what was inbound marketing, and now I'm super passionate about it. And so it's what you say, like go for your curiosity and see if there's passion, and also like if you are helping and providing value in that area, because then it's just a hobby. If it's a passion and doesn't provide any value to anyone, it's just a hobby.
yeah, exactly. It's that kind of, actually in the last episode we did talk a little bit about that kind of matching up of your passions with something, skills that you're good at and the experience that you've got with something that you give to the world. It's that classic ikigai, like combining of those three things.
Like it's the tap exercise, no? Find your talent, find your passions, and find something in the world that you would like to change or something that makes you angry. And then it's like, feel like with my talent, X and Y, and my passions, X and Y, I want to change or I want to get more. And that's an exercise to kind of help you figure out the direction you want to take. At least like, okay, I don't know all the way or all the steps, all the professional things that I want to do. But it's okay. But at least you know that if you want to go north, you're not gonna go like walking south because you want to go north. You don't see all the road. Whenever you want to go from one city to another, the Google Maps show you the first step, and then the second, and then but that doesn't show you all the way and you know exactly, because if something happens in the middle, you kind of reroute and do something else, and you have the ability to reroute. You're just not like it's fixed. And I think that's what gives you like this purpose, or this thing that is like a direction that probably you're never gonna get there, but at least you're trying to go and make all the decisions towards one direction.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that purpose kind of becomes your compass in a way of kind of, you don't exactly know where you're going, but it's that direction, somewhere.
Yeah. And at least like you know a little bit, and whenever you want to change directions, you're like, no, I don't want to go there anymore. It's good. But then like whenever you make a decision, it's like, oh, that's gonna help me to go closer to where I want to go or not. Because sometimes we won't feel a lot of progress. Right now I'm working a lot of stuff, but I have to stop myself every week, kind of, okay, these I'm working, like the difference they're helping me to go where I want to go or no. Oh, this for yes, this one no, but that one is all right, but I will focus on here. Even though I'm not seeing the progress, I know they're going to help me in the long term, in the long game. So, and then it's like, okay, go then. But you have to stop and ask yourself, hey, I'm going the right direction. They're like helping me to go where I want to go. And I think that you don't need to know what it's all the steps. But if you like marketing, for instance, I was saying that in my colleagues in the university. If you like marketing, don't go to audit because you want to go to marketing. So it's better if you intern, even though in audit they pay you like 30K, but you want to go do digital marketing. And a lot of people was choosing the path that was supposed, and then they had to restart. And it's like, oh yeah, I lost 2 years of my life working like crazy when I was 24. It's like, well, you're bad.
Yeah. And so going back to kind of when you were, 24, 25, and you made that decision to just, follow something that at the time you weren't like, this is, my passion in life. It was kind of just something that you were curious about, but you kind of thought, okay, this is the direction that I think I want to go in. But, you had everyone else, your family and your friends saying, you're crazy. Why are you working without a salary for 8 months like this? The reality of entrepreneurship is, nowhere near as glamorous as a lot of people on LinkedIn, make it out to be. So how did you kind of deal with and get through that kind of challenge of having everyone else around you telling you that it was a terrible idea? How did you deal with that?
At the end, like I don't remember the conversation with my parents at the end, because they were calling me kind of every day saying, Tony, are you happy? Because they didn't understand why I was putting myself into that situation. And then I had to sit down with them. It's like, hey, I want to do this. I'm happy doing this. And I think the most important thing that is I'm happy doing this. I know, because I said to it's a decision that I make. I don't want you to pay me anything. That it's a decision I make with my own savings of stuff, because also I was football referring for a lot of years. But just this summer, to make it more, I just got a Achilles tendon injury, and that lasted like, I don't know. I was counting on that as well. So I had like zero income. Like all the plans were like, okay, the worst case scenario. But at the end, I was like, I was talking to my parents. I was like, yeah, but I'm happy doing this. I'm happy. I know I'm learning. I'm growing. So for me, it's like, see it as you're studying a degree. And sometimes people take like 6 years, and some people take 4 years degree, or they do two degrees. So at the end, for me, I was not earning, but it was like investing. And the same when you go to university, and sometimes we forget about this, you're investing money. All the money, you do the addition of all the money you spend in trips, university, the tuition, like everything. That's your investment that year in your education. So, but when we're done from university, it seems you cannot invest. So I was seeing it more like as an investment. It was like, okay, for me, that will be an investment. And the best way to learn right now is working in this company. I know it's 8 months, but so it's like doing an MBA. And so I was seeing it, not obviously right now I explain it super well, but back then I was like figuring out like, yeah, I'm happy. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm happy. And with my friends, I was like telling the same, like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm learning this. And when they were like, whatever, I don't know what you're talking about marketing. And obviously like they were, but they were like, not, I wouldn't say worried, but they were like saying like, you're crazy. Yeah, like you're crazy because I was going to restaurants and instead of looking at what I wanted to eat, I was checking the prices and you know the kind of stuff. And that, but that's how because I never stopped going with out with my friends or anything like this. I was enjoying my life obviously, and but you have to be super aware of that because your bank account just goes. But it was an investment. So for me, it's
Yeah.
like see it this way, see that it's an investment, and 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 the worst thing that can happen is just you quit and you start working for someone else until you
Yeah.
figure out. So
But you've
between
learned an awful lot on the way as well.
yeah, like between your 20 and 30, and just like when I think when you have a family, you there's another game. You change the game because then you have someone you're responsible for. But before that, it's just a video game. Like what happens if you have to restart? Because now you're super focused when you are 24, 23. Now I want to make like 500 euros. Whenever you're gonna be 30 or 40, like this 500 euros won't make a difference. So now it's better if you enjoy it or if you invest it, or because when you're gonna be 35, like 1,000 euros more or less in your bank account, like won't matter. But sometimes we are super focused on the short term and we forget about this. So that would be like you have to be super aware. I also like you have to be like super savvy if you want to start risking stuff. And but I will say like before 30 years old, like try to follow what you think you want to do because then like you have your own life to be working and to be like you will figure out all your life what you want to do. But I think when you are young that you have like a bigger safety net.
Yeah, no, that's true. Play the long game again.
Play the long game always, but it's difficult. It's difficult because you try to compare with your peers at that moment. So and I was like then back then like what nobody like I will say it this way. No, none of my friends will trade positions with me. After 6 years, all my friends will trade positions with me because now it's like, oh, you have your own thing, you work at your time, you don't have to go anywhere. So and now a lot of my friends are kind of changing their minds of being entrepreneurs or solo entrepreneurs or being like more this because they see the lifestyle, but you have to build first like a really deep knowledge of what you do and make sure you have your own niche because obviously like if not you're gonna be employee all your life. But the thing is like I always think in the long term because there is no finish line. There's no finish line. You're not competing. What is the KPI you're competing with them? Is like money, but maybe it's your schedule, maybe it's your passion for the work you do, or what is and I think society tells us the way we compete is in the income we get, but for me it's not the income, like because it's like uh, I will divide like sometimes to my friends I will divide like okay, tell me your salary and tell me how many hours you work a month and I'll tell you my salary and how many who is better paid per hour. So
Yeah.
because you put so many, so at the end it's like, hey, don't compare to yourself. Do what you want to do, and again, infinite game. There is no finish line. When is the finish line? There is no finish line. So play the game you want to. The life is a video game, so you have to play the game you want to play, or like it's your own movie. And sometimes that helps. Like, what would you do if you was a movie? Like, yeah, sometimes things can go bad, but then what? Like. Like they say if something goes super wrong and I'm broke and 0 euros in my bank account, I know that I can go, I don't know, and go to Globo or delivery companies and I start delivering with my bike. And the first day I'm saving money because I can eat rice for 2 days. So right now it's like the amount of risk or security you want to willing to take. But I don't know, there's so many possibilities that for me is more like if you have the energy and the passion,
The infinite game.
yeah, like
I like
Simon
that.
Sinek is talking a lot about that, but it's an infinite game, yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think on that note, I'm just kind of conscious of time. So just to kind of wrap things up, I suppose, tell me, how can people find out more about you?
Well, obviously they can find me on
LinkedIn. Obviously.
LinkedIn is my platform, and And yeah, like I'll focus on LinkedIn because now I'm working in my website. Also, like I'll be launching a course on personal brand and stuff like this. It will be
Awesome.
in Spanish, but probably we'll do it in English. And because like the more people I can have, the better. But yeah, like the most important, well, the main channel that I use the most is LinkedIn right now, or
Amazing.
YouTube.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I feel like that was really useful, and I've actually learned a lot about personal branding myself. I need to go and relook at my LinkedIn now, I think, and
So
think
yeah,
about.
because I was super curious about your LinkedIn as well. When I checked, like, you start a company, but that's the thing. Like, I would like to hear you explaining me what you do, to have me
Yeah,
what you do in your LinkedIn.
that's a story for another episode, maybe.
Yeah,
um,
but when I go to LinkedIn, I would like to listen to you explaining me all your experience because it was super curious. It's like, why she make all these decisions based on your experience?
yeah.
So if you introduce yourself and you explain it a little bit, then it's like, oh, super cool, and what the personal brand does.
Yeah, that's true. I've got some live advice there. Thank you very much. Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Tony. Everybody go and check him out on LinkedIn. Thank you for your amazing positive energy as well. And yeah, hopefully we will
You're
speak
welcome.
again soon.
Yeah, hopefully. I really enjoy it, and yeah, I'm glad if I added value.
Definitely. Cool. Thank you, Tony.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Uprise Talks. Every fortnight, we'll be talking to the world's changemakers about all the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and giving you the insights to help you on your journey. If you want to hear more, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you'd like to know more about how we help driven people pursue meaningful entrepreneurial careers, head over to our website www.uprise.academy or follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram at Uprise Academy. We'll see you in the next episode.